Yeah, there are several decisions and discussions at several different levels that will affect children here in North Central West Virginia. The U.S. Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals has voted to block West Virginia's Save Women's Sports Act, saying that it violates the rights of transgender athletes. West Virginia's law states that students must compete in sports based on their sex. The ruling is in the case of a Bridgeport Middle School athlete who wanted to compete on sports teams aligning with the child's gender identity rather than sex. The student identifies as female but was born male. The case has been ongoing since 2021. Today's ruling said that because West Virginia's act inherently treats transgender women differently, and because females can participate on any team, but males cannot, it was discrimination. The vote on that court was 2-1. West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey reacted to that court's decision. A statement, Morrisey said, and I quote here, "We remain confident in the merits of our defense. We are resolute in protecting opportunities for women and girls in sports. Because when biological males win in a women's event, as has happened time and time again, female athletes lose their opportunity to shine," unquote.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to do a follow-up story to a story that I did probably a couple of weeks ago involving some middle school girls who decided to protest against a trans athlete participating in their track and field competition. Now, this event was shot put. Now, this trans athlete was allowed to participate after challenging West Virginia's law to protect women in sports. And that challenge ultimately ended up being successful. So this athlete was allowed to participate in the women's track and field competition despite being a biological male. So these girls, the biological females, they decided to protest by basically forfeiting the competition, right? Refusing to participate. And I'm sure all of you guys have seen this video right here that shows them refusing to participate. Yeah, so again, that video went viral. And as a result of that video, these athletes, these brave women, were banned from future competitions, okay? So they have been barred from future meets as a result of them protesting unfair competition. Take a look.
Hey, I'm Jasmine Aduse.
And I'm Atticus P. Thank you for joining us here tonight.
We begin the 6 o'clock hour now to a local story that has been getting some national attention. 2 West Virginia students walked off the field in a shot put contest when a local trans athlete was competing.
Now a lawsuit has been filed in the aftermath. 5's Tanner Gilmartin has been keeping up with the latest developments, and he has the breakdown.
On Thursday, Liberty High School hosted the 2024 Harrison County Middle School Championships track and field competition. During the shot put contest, 5 athletes from Lincoln Middle School stepped out of the circle, forfeiting in protest of another student who was transgender. Just days before their protest, a court found that West Virginia's Save Women's Sports Act, which bars trans athletes from competing in sports with the gender they identify with, not what they were assigned at birth, violates Title IX protections against trans athletes. At the center of all this is a 13-year-old middle school student, Becky Pepper Jackson. She and her mother were the ones who initially appealed the Save Women's Sports Act to the Fourth Circuit, a fight they ultimately won. The Attorney General of West Virginia's office says they plan to appeal the Fourth Circuit's decision all the way to the Supreme Court. As a result of their actions, the student athletes who protested were suspended from their next track and field meet, leading their parents to sue Harrison County Board of Education. Make sure to stick with 5 News as this story develops. Keeping you connected in Harrison County, Tanner Gilmartin, 5 News.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? So a lawsuit has been filed after these brave athletes decided that, hey, you know what? We're not going to participate in unfair competition. We're going to stand up for what we believe in, and now they're being punished by the school for standing up for what they believe in. Again, it's amazing how that works. If you stand up against the woke agenda, this is what they do to you. So without further ado, let's read here. 5 West Virginia middle schoolers who protested a transgender athlete's participation in a track and field competition have been barred from future meets, prompting the state attorney general to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to weigh in on transgender student athlete bans for a second time. West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey filed a lawsuit against the Harrison County Board of Education on the dissenting students' behalf after they were blocked from upcoming meets following their protest at the April 18th shot put competition, West Virginia Watch reported. 5 girls from Lincoln Middle School stepped up to the circle for their turn before refusing to throw in the event, which was won by Becky Pepper Jackson, a 13-year-old girl who takes puberty blocking medications and estrogen hormone therapy. Okay, so one of the arguments is that, well, this transgender athlete is on puberty blockers, and I believe they're on them before they actually hit puberty. Okay, so they're saying, well, the competition is not unfair because they don't have an opportunity to go through puberty. But my argument is that I don't think that children should be allowed to go on puberty blockers, period. So we really shouldn't even be in a situation where we're having this type of debate about whether or not it's fair for a trans athlete to compete against biological females if they're on puberty blockers before they hit puberty. But the fact that we are having that conversation, in my opinion, leads me to believe that the Republicans in West Virginia have more work to do in regards to legislation on this issue. While West Virginia law bans trans girls from playing on girls' sports teams, a recent federal appeals court ruled that the law couldn't be applied to the 8th grader. Judge Toby Heaton wrote that offering her a choice between not participating in sports and participating on only boys' teams is no real choice at all. Despite the ruling, Morrisey has rallied against both the ruling and the treatment of the student athletes who protested competing against Becky. Quote, their actions at the earlier track meet were not disruptive or aggrandizing. They were the quiet demonstration of the student athletes' evident unhappiness with the competitive consequences of a federal appellate court's decision. Morrisey, a Republican currently primarying for governor, wrote in the amicus brief filed April 26th. Yeah, I'm not sure how much of a chance this guy has of actually overtaking Jim Justice, who is extremely popular in West Virginia. But, you know, hey, this guy says he's going to challenge this up to the Supreme Court level. Ultimately, this is going to be a Title IX issue, and this is why voting is so important. This is why my mind gets blown when people want to talk about Republicans being against women's rights, which is not true. When you have Democrats, Joe Biden, his administration, actively taking a sledgehammer to the cornerstone of women's rights in this country, which is Title IX. Okay, I mean, he's destroying it. He's basically trying to pave the way for biological males to compete against biological females and to basically make it impossible for Republicans at the state level to do anything about it. But yet, the way they frame these issues, they frame it as if, well, it's the Republicans that are against women. When no. Republicans are actively trying to protect women, okay? In fact, it was Republicans that pioneered women's voting rights, just like they played a significant role in civil rights as well, too. Again, it's just amazing how the framing of the modern day conversation around the Republican Party is that they're anti so-called people of color and they're anti women. However, again, Republicans were fundamental in equal rights for both groups of people. Again, it's just so funny how that works. But, you know, we have the Biden administration actively fighting against the rights of women, but yet nobody's going after him for that and saying that, well, Biden is anti-woman. It's amazing how our modern day politics are framed. Joined by one of Becky's classmates on Wednesday, Morrisey said he plans to ask the U.S. Supreme Court to hear the case involving the state's restrictions on transgender student athletes for a second time. Former collegiate swimmer turned activist Riley Gaines, who has been an outspoken critic of trans athletes participating in girls' sporting events, has weighed in on the issue, writing, quote, these girls stood up for what they believed and their coach barred them from competing, in saying in a post on X on Monday. Yeah, so you get the gist of what's going on here, okay? These girls were punished for standing up for what they believe is right, okay? Again, I want you guys to understand, if you are a BLM activist, or if you are a Roe v. Wade activist standing up for women's rights, or if you're Antifa or whatever, it's totally fine and totally okay for you to do stuff like this, right, guys? Could you imagine if a student got suspended or barred from a future competition for orchestrating a BLM protest during a sport event? Can you imagine the outrage, right? People will be boohoo, whining, and crying racism. But nobody's boohoo, whining, and crying sexism over this. Nobody's saying, hey, is it sexist to not allow women to protest, peacefully protest their rights, and to punish them for protesting for their rights? Is that something that we should evaluate as a form of bigotry? I think that it is, right? That's what it sounds like to me, okay? But, you know, again, we live in a world where if you are against the left-wing agenda, then it doesn't matter why you're against it. It's going to be categorized as a form of bigotry and hate. But if you are for the left-wing agenda, you can quite literally do things that are discriminatory towards so-called people of color or women or whoever. You can advocate for those policies as long as they agree with the left-wing agenda, and they won't be categorized as hate and bigotry. In fact, it'll be categorized as the opposite, right? It'll be categorized as equal rights. Okay, equal rights are allowing biological males to compete against biological females in 2024. Again, this world is it's crazy, man. It's absolutely insane. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.